welcome back to another episode of Lady Justice Talks, where curiosity meets law. So, as we approach spooky season, you might think the scariest thing that could happen to you is you run into a clown or, I don't know, skulls are scary too, right?
Yeah.
Wrong. The scariest thing you could really run into is stereotypes and barriers, especially when it comes to the legal field because it's already hard enough.
Yep.
So, actually, I did not introduce myself. This is Susu B and your host.
Rubal.
So, yeah, we have two beautiful ladies from our club, Women in Law, and I'll let them introduce themselves. So,
Hi, my name is Isra, and I'm the VP of Marketing for Willa, and I'm so excited to be here.
yes.
Hi, my name's Emma. I'm the VP of Finance for Willa, and I'm really excited to be talking about stereotypes and barriers today.
Yeah, I feel like you guys really represent the spooky season because finance and marketing is literally that department that just scares me because you guys are always oh, you gotta post this, you gotta do that.
I love
So,
marketing.
yeah.
Welcome to our episode, guys. A round of applause.
Yeah, really. So, I guess we're just gonna get right into it and
Okay.
talk about our topic. So, don't be scared. But what do you think are some of the stereotypes or barriers that you have experienced or that are experienced by women specifically in the legal field?
Do you want to answer first?
Yeah, I can. So I think a lot of the stereotypes specifically for women is just not being taken seriously in the legal field. Like when you think of a lawyer, generally you think of someone that means business or they're kind of cold or heartless, and there's often a stereotype of women being more emotional than men.
Right.
So they tend
Yeah.
to not be taken seriously a lot in the courtroom or even in the office or in meetings and that.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
big one, to be honest, because I don't know, the whole emotions thing, to be honest, I could think about it in multiple ways, multiple lenses, because really, for example, it's also bad for men. Yes, our club is about women, but even for men, we have movements like Movember, because we want to make sure that men know that having emotions is a normal thing. So just thinking oh, only women have emotions, so only men should be in legal fields is just, I think, a really
Yeah.
weird way to think about it.
Yeah. I also think it's pretty weird because when, a man is taking charge of things, he's obviously seen as, assertive and everything like that. But then when a woman is, doing the same exact
It's
thing,
rude.
it's why is she being rude? Why is she being bossy? Which isn't even the case. You're
Liter-
just switching it because of the gender.
I've seen trends about how I'm gonna start signing my emails like a man. I don't know if you guys watch these trends. It's literally just instead of being I personally I always add exclamation marks to my emails because I don't want to sound rude, but then you can actually just be professional because you shouldn't be having this expectation on you just because you're a woman.
And for my experience, because being a lawyer, you have to speak, you have to be outspoken, and I don't know about the specific backgrounds, but in many countries they put the women into that categories. If a woman is outspoken, she's not good for marriage. She shouldn't get married because she will not fit with the husband because she's outspoken. She always fight and I would say the Betty or something
Right.
like that. So, I don't know I should say this words, but yeah, in many countries being a lawyer and being a woman as a lawyer and be outspoken and say whatever you feel in society doesn't make you a perfect fit for a marriage.
No, I totally understand that. I feel the cultural part of it is also
Yeah.
a big part. I'm not sure about you guys background, but I'm sure in Egypt
Yeah.
it's probably like that too. I know there was this book I remember I read. It's literally for Shakespeare. It's called Taming the Shrew, and it just talks about how I hate that book. So it literally just
Yeah.
talks about how oh, this woman who's really out there and blah 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 is tamed by this lover. And that's happy ending. So I think that's really the vibe that
Yeah.
they're going through for also the cultural perspective that
Yeah, the thing that's crazy to me is though that even though we're told to not be biased and not to keep emotions are part of what makes us human.
Exactly.
Like literally, the law reflects our society, our reality every day. So if we don't include emotions, if we're not being emotional, we're not really making laws that benefit everyone in the community as well.
That's very
Yeah.
true.
And like especially talking about emotion, I remember I was at a panel and this lawyer is speaking. She was female,
Yeah.
and she was basically saying like, because of the fact that she can actually express emotion, it makes her a better lawyer because she actually has like that empathy that like a male lawyer that her client was trying to find didn't
Exactly.
have.
Yeah,
You know?
I can't imagine just going to a lawyer and like really like it's a no one goes to like a lawyer unless it's like a time of crisis, unless well you guys are the law people, so maybe there's a time that you could just go for fun. But if I'm in a time of crisis, I don't want my lawyer to just like hand me like papers, okay, there's this and that. I want you to like
Yeah.
literally just give me a hug, like I don't know, well don't do that, but you know it's something that is like empathy is a big one.
Yeah.
Especially like
And so like obviously not saying that like men can't, but it was this example that she had gave, like her client basically went to like 3 different lawyers before she had went to her. They were all male lawyers and they all told her the same thing, like, oh, I'm not gonna take your case, or they weren't taking it as seriously as she thought it was. Like she thought had more value, and he was
Yeah.
kind of like pushing it off and like
Yeah.
disregarding it.
Yeah, like if we're talking about the court, I feel like some places people thought, okay, if you're like there are some changes. Okay, you can be in the courtroom as a woman, but like you should do only the admin stuff. Just taking the paperwork and just be on the back and just like do the paper stuff and legal documents for us. Never be on the on foot and just defend yourself. I feel there are the changes, but not in that accurate way.
I think, well, from my psychology
Yeah.
perspective, there's a lot of like
I need that
there's a lot
perspective.
of, it's a really complex thing to just like infer that like, oh, this is because of. Okay, that's a lot of psychology stuff, but I'm pretty sure like the expectation is a big one. Like for example, in psychology, we had like an experiment. Actually, it was gender based, and it was talking about how like literally little kids, so like plain, like they don't have any like bias or anything.
Yeah.
And they would tell them, like the girls, they would tell them you're bad at math, or like the stuff that people say about
That's
girls
a
in
very
STEM,
big stereotype.
and
yeah.
they would do like worse on the exams just because of this expectation, versus the control group, which is like the group that did not get this treatment, psychology, which would just like do as well as the boys, just because
Yeah.
like they did not have this like expectation put on them. So yeah, I think that's a big one. So what do you guys think are ways women can maybe challenge this perspective or like this expectation?
I think necessarily like, our style, our sense of style. Like, I remember I had an internship and I was very grateful to be there, but I kind of felt pressured a bit to dress more masculine or to kind of be like more humble and keep to the side, be more quiet, not be as opinionated, but really dressing more feminine and dressing in clothes that I felt confident in helped me not develop a sort of like imposter syndrome compared to like other male interns as well. So it kind of did help me develop that confidence and think, hey, you deserve to be here.
Right.
You worked hard to be here. Just because others might be more accomplished or because they're men and they might be taken more seriously doesn't mean that you should make yourself feel any less.
Yeah.
So
I would definitely say like the biggest way is to just like straight up just advocate for yourself, because honestly, like you obviously are there for a reason. Like you said, you work hard to get where you are, and if you like don't say your opinions, like you're just gonna stay invisible, you're gonna be quiet, and obviously you are there for a reason. You're there for your opinions to be heard, you're there to make change, and like it's definitely easier said than done, but you just need to put yourself out there and say what you need to say.
No, I totally agree. I think at some point there's like a lot of research about how when you're creating your resume, even some people would have bias, like, oh, this name sounds like they're a female, or this name sounds like this person is an immigrant, and like a lot of stuff. And to be honest, I remember at some point like I had like this career session thing. It wasn't affiliated with York, but they told me like, oh, maybe you need to change your name a little bit, or like they told me well, my name was not that like like an indicator, but they told other people like, oh, maybe you need to put a nickname or something. And I'm like, it got me thinking, like, would it be better to just change my name to surprise the recruiter on this day of the interview, or would it be better to actually, as you guys said, like challenge it and be out there anyway? And because would you even want to like work for a company that has this mentality? Like I don't think so. If I'm gonna like do like a 1 minute, not 1 minute, like a on the spot definition of stereotypes, I feel like that's really like what the definition is. It's something that forces you to be something when you're really not, or you shouldn't be. And That's
like
the
it's
thing.
in daily life at every moment, and like every small moment you can feel the stereotype, especially as a woman.
Because it's all about your choice. Like, I'm totally for a woman who decides to just be a housewife, and like that's the choice that she made in her life. I'm just against that she has to be forced to choose that. So I know, Emma, you were mentioning that you were in a stereotype, in an internship.
Yeah.
So, and probably Israel also had like some experiences. Did you guys ever experience an actual stereotype or something away from like just like the clothing and stuff like that? Like, did you maybe like microaggressions? Did you actually like experience that? Hopefully not, but
Well,
not to put you on the spot.
I'm very grateful for the internship that I have. Like I did learn a lot. But it was a bit disheartening because you did see a lot of the executive positions, they were fulfilled by men.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I felt as if I wasn't taken seriously because I am a very like emotional, very like happy person. Like a lot of the times, like
Can
even the
testify
way
to
I
that.
dress, it's very like feminine or cutesy. So people like tend to not think I'm that smart or like ditzy sometimes. So there was a bit of that. So again, it's unavoidable, but the fact that we're even talking about these issues is kind of challenging those stereotypes and kind of giving us a sort of plan as to how to deal with that. So like the more that we talk about this, the more awareness create, and then the more people realize like, hey, this is an issue. We need to
Right.
deal with it. So
No, definitely. And I feel like the representation is something. Like, definitely, to challenge an
Yeah.
expectation, well, you need to also see it. Like, if you see, like, everyone in the executive team is just, like, male identifying, obviously you'll feel like, yeah, like, not a direct microaggression, but, like, just, like, representation. So.
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from too, because like, well, like obviously if someone like looks at me and not only am I a woman, I'm visibly Muslim and I'm also like a person of color. So, you know, 3 for 3. But like you said, like challenging like, you know, stereotypes and having that representation I think is so important because like in my experience, like obviously there's bad things that happen, but there's always so much good to be grateful for. Like I have people come to me be like, oh, I see you do XYZ, like it makes me someone who also is brown, someone who also is a
Right.
woman, someone who
Yeah.
also wears hijab, be like, oh, I can like see myself doing that because there's obviously people in that community that are showing me like it's not impossible and that like I should like keep trying, you know?
yeah.
But the microaggression is crazy because it like really does like, you know, like steal away your motivation for trying or like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just really depressing.
That's the thing with microaggression. I feel like they're really like you can't really see them all the time. 'Cause I took this like there was this certificate and it made me realize, bro, I have been like a victim of microaggression and I didn't
Yeah.
even know. Because like some people would go like the example they had was like, oh, you're very well spoken. I'm like, that's a compliment.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's great. That's a compliment, right?
Oh my
But then
gosh.
apparently that's actually a microaggression because that's like you're specifically telling
Yeah.
me this for like for
Yeah.
that
You know,
reason.
Yeah.
This like, bro, this brings me. Can I say, bro?
Yes. You
Okay,
can.
well,
yes, you can. It's very. It's
there
very
was this,
casual.
like one time in high school, like people from my high school know the story, but basically I was being accused of like stealing something.
Oh.
Obviously, I'm not stealing something. I'm a law-abiding citizen.
We trust you.
But like this person had basically claimed that I stole something of theirs. I'm like, that is not true. So, but they had like the police come in and a whole investigation. And when I'm like speaking to this police officer, she's like, wow, I'm impressed with how you're speaking and handling yourself. Like, excuse
Oh my
me?
God.
Like, first of all, I'm raised in Canada. I was always taught English in school. Like, of course, I'm going to speak well. Like, that's
Right.
my first language.
Mhm.
Well, my mother tongue, obviously, something else, but, like, you know? And then she, like, automatically assumed that, like, I did steal it. So she had, like, a bias against me, right? She's like, okay, so where is it? I don't know where it is. I didn't steal it. Like, I was, like, arguing with this white police officer who also was a woman, but, like, her like partner officer, he was a white male, and they just did not want to listen. And then the only time they did listen was when my principal finally spoke up, and she's like, you have been asking her questions for like the past hour. She's clearly telling you like she hasn't stolen it. You have no proof. The only thing you have is like some claims from another man that you didn't even talk to. So
No, that's
it's like
insane.
such a weird position that they put you in, because like if I start arguing back with this police officer, it's a person of authority, and now I look like I'm being disrespectful because I'm like saying outrageous things like, no, I didn't, and I'm like disagreeing. But like it's more outrageous for a person of authority with obviously more power to be looking down at this young woman just being like, nope, you did that, like you're committing a crime with no evidence. That was baffling.
I'm so sorry I had to go through that.
But-
to be
But like it was also, you know, character development, because
honest. Right.
Yeah.
it was like one of the first time I had to like be put in a position to argue with someone in authority. Like talking to a teacher is different, but like someone who is trying to claim that and like try to charge you, like that's different. So it was definitely a weird position.
I want to ask here, because you was in high school, like you was not that mature. At least you was a teen, right?
Yeah, I was in grade 9.
Like how
In grade
that
nine.
movement, how your teachers support you, like what was their role that time?
Well, at the time, I don't know if I can say that. My teacher was not the best teacher. He was
Okay.
very like out of it, I would
You,
say.
you can say that because
Yeah.
maybe
It's not
if
like
they're
he's gonna
listening,
watch
you
it.
could do better next time. Because it's actually like we want to like see the change. Like that's
He got fired.
okay.
Oh,
Guys, change happens. Change will be made when you speak out.
Yeah. No, to
So
be
we
honest.
can see the change.
Yeah, because I know like we were thinking about like the stereotypes and barriers in the legal field, as in like like becoming a woman in the legal field. But to be honest, it's also like you had an interaction with the
Yeah.
like a law
Like
enforcer.
the justice system, yeah.
And to be honest, that was not fair. I remember I had like this interaction. It's like a core memory for me, not a happy one. I was like literally on my first day of uni, and I'm just like like first day of uni, I just don't know like what's happening.
Yeah.
So I forgot to tap my Presto, and then this white police officer just stops me, takes me down from the bus, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna pay a ticket." And I didn't even know there's tickets for
Not
Presto,
paying
because
the
I
fee.
always tap my
Yeah.
Presto, and it's like $150. I'm like, that's a huge amount.
Yeah.
And ironically, there's this guy who's just standing there. So the police officer is like, "Oh, can I help you? Is he with you?" And the guy literally just tells him, I don't know, he just like sent from heaven or something. He's like, you gave me a ticket. It was my first day in Canada, and you also gave me a ticket. I did not even know what Presto was.
Yeah.
So I feel like this guy was just like xenophobic. He just like could tell that like immigrants or whatever. And it's just like it's really sad to know that the people are supposed to like protect you, because there is a lot of like people that I wish could be taken
the
down
sense of
down
balance.
from the bus in
Yeah.
the middle of the ride, to be honest. And I don't think I was like supposed to be one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So-
that's like a big reason for why I want to be a lawyer so bad. It's because I've seen so many minorities be put into positions by the justice system, which are like so unfair, because it was obviously like no wrong was done, but it was just an assumption made, a whole like case built upon a stereotype.
Right.
So if I could be in a position where I can like change that and like actually help others, like that's the motivation I need.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I have a like example. Like there was a boy around in a teenager and accused for murder and put in the jail for 12 years, and he come back and become a lawyer, then prove that he was innocent and that they waste his 12 years of life in the jail because because he's from minority and didn't get a complete support and not like a legal help, and like he wastes his 12 years in the jail and then come back, become a lawyer, and then prove that he's innocent.
That's wonderful. To be
Yeah.
honest. Like
Yeah.
I'm happy. Like
Yeah.
I know it's sad that they wasted
Yeah.
12 years, but I'm happy that at least like that's the
But it's stories
amazing
like
comeback.
that, like that matter so much. Because I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys know the lawyer Amanda Nguyen, but she was basically like attending Harvard because she wanted to become a lawyer. So she was in law school, and on her first day she was raped, and it was someone in her class. But when
Yes,
she
I know
went
that
to
story.
she goes to the police about it. They're like, no, we don't believe you. A Harvard man would never do that. A Harvard man would never do that. The whole reason they
Oh my
dismissed her case.
gosh.
She became not only invested in her own case, but she started a movement for like women's sexual assault cases.
That's amazing.
And like it's terrible that these people have to like go through all these things, but it's the reason they go through it is obviously there's change being made after. So it's
In a way,
I think it's very important that we also advocate about the law and then help people be aware that there are laws that protect them. Because we have a lot of times, especially with young people, they don't know how to vote or they don't know the election process even,
Yeah.
or even
Yeah.
civil. Like, I think that's also a part. If we spread more awareness about these issues and also the laws that do protect them, we can fight against these injustices in the justice system as well.
Yeah,
too.
we can like sum up that not everybody is wrong. Like still
Yeah.
there are some people in community that help you, that make
The
you feel
support
like you
system.
are special. You're not that, right?
yeah, yeah. To be honest, like the right to vote is something that I feel like a lot of people are just underappreciating.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, because like I'm a permanent resident in Canada. I don't have the right to vote.
Mm.
Although I live here. Yeah. I know.
Oh my God.
Like I have like yeah. I wish I could, but I'm a permanent resident. It has to be a citizen.
Yeah.
So really, that's another thing. Cause like
One more step to go.
that's another like stereotype I think, or
Yeah.
like something like a barrier. Cause like for me as an immigrant, I live here, I pay the same taxes, I have to go through all of this, but the decision is not mine to be
Who's
elected.
gonna run the country?
I'm just gonna
yeah.
live here.
Mhm.
And
That's so weird.
yeah, so that's why like whenever like some of like my friends who are born here, like, or like white or whatever, I'm like, they're just like not talking about like the voting seriously. I'm like, no, go
Yeah.
for me. I
Yeah.
literally tell them like, go vote for me.
Yeah.
Literally just like, not for me. I wish I was elected, but like vote for like on my behalf. Because really, like, you can't just like let it happen like that.
Another thing is that they don't even realize, because I know that there's a lot of people like that are unhappy with Trudeau right now, but they don't realize that it literally starts from the bottom. So you have to start from your community around you voting, not
Right.
just
Yeah.
every time the federal election comes by or provincial. Literally, you have to do your research, find the politicians that you like that represent your morals, because again, like, that's why we need to educate people about the laws and the voting process,
Yeah,
because
I
it
don't
literally
even-
shapes your community.
I don't think I even know who my mayor is. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I just know to draw. That's it.
I know.
Yeah, so maybe I don't really need
I
the right to
know,
vote.
right? Do any immigrant, or does any immigrant has right to stand for elections, like without getting permanent residence,
probably
even
not.
if they are
I don't think
PR?
you can run unless you're a citizen for at
Actually,
least like
I
a couple
think,
years.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be a citizen. Actually, like a couple of years ago, even becoming, that's like a big one, but even becoming a police officer, for example,
Mhm.
you had to be a citizen,
Yeah.
which was
Yeah.
really bad because you don't even need a post-secondary education. You just need your
Citizen-
high school.
use
So
high
imagine you're trusting like a kid just out of high school, like with all respect,
Mhm.
but you're not trusting an immigrant. Like that's
Yeah.
just crazy. So yeah, but they changed it, so that's nice. That's great. I think like at least now they accept PRs, so that's
Yeah.
that's nice. And I think we've been talking about like the laws like for a while now. So do you guys have any maybe like suggestions about maybe like, oh, if that law was there, that would have been great. Like
See, the thing is, it is in our charter, so it's
Yeah.
not like the law is in place. It's just
Right.
not being enacted upon. Like, your police officers should not be like scaring away minorities. They should be the ones protecting those in the communities that need it. And unfortunately, it is always like, you know, people of color. Those communities need it the most, but that's where they're being taken advantage of the most.
right. No, that makes absolute sense, to be honest, because I always thought like, oh, maybe it's the laws that need to be changed. Like the one with the police officer like applying, that's a law change. That was nice to see that you can apply, but to be honest, I feel like it's more about like actually
But yeah,
And
but like
preventing
we
it.
are students right now, so do you guys feel like because we are in the school, so like there should be a change in our school life, and that's gonna be better for us? Or do you feel, because like, have you guys ever feel a problem when we get into university to make friends just because of like stereotypes or people of color or something? And do you feel like, okay, yeah, there should be a change in this school system, so it's could be better for us, or what? Do you have any idea about that?
Honestly, I feel like school is like a good position just because you meet a lot of people and then you
Yeah.
can match like what your interests are and meet open-minded people like you. Like for example, like Willa, like obviously you're not just meeting women, but you're meeting women who are interested in the same like things as you. They're as passionate as you.
Yeah.
Same mindset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's really important. And also like looking at like the legal field, it's more so like 60-40 now, like men to women, so it's not too bad. But like it's also about the community that you build. So the more people that are like entering law school from pre-law, like in like law and society is what my program is, a lot of the women are planning to go to law school, and you like know that's going to be carrying on with you, so you have a good community building from undergrad and then going into grad school. But like I think it's just really like looking out for your resources within your own schools. Like that's where
Yeah.
you can start.
I feel like with school, it's also similar to what you said. Like, the things are there. It's just if
You
you
need to
use them or not, type of thing. Like, there are like modules for diversity and like inclusion and stuff like that. But do you actually implement them? Yes or no? There are like clubs like Willa that are actually like
Yeah.
welcoming and empowering and inspiring and advertising.
Uh-uh.
But like, would you actually like get out of your comfort zone and actually like reach out to us?
I think
Yeah.
university definitely does get people out of their comfort zone. Like, I've met people that come from very, very small towns in Ontario, and like they didn't have like POC in their community either. So like
Yeah.
it's just like even me, I went to a Catholic high school. It was only Italians in that area. So it's like
Bro, I'm
when you
sure
go
same.
yeah, so like you get used to university, you're meeting new people, you're interacting with them, you're seeing different point of views. So I definitely do think that you do need to put yourself out of your comfort zone, because otherwise you won't grow and you won't learn new things and you won't help a diverse community that Canada is also becoming as well. Like it's not the 1950s anymore. Like we have different individuals living here and we need different support systems for them as well.
Yeah, the one thing I feel like when I come to university, like, some people, maybe they, from the homes or something, already have a mindset. This people from that community or student from this community gonna be like that. So they already treat you. Sometimes when I was like in bus or somebody, you're like, they ask me which country, like they feel like they can see me obviously, my face, and because like you're back from that country. Oh, okay, yeah, poor. That was like, was like, what do you mean? Like poor, developing, or what? Like what is this? Like I feel. Not every people in the university was like this, but still there were some people who's like on the basis of my country and on the basis of my like surname or something, or judging me or back from there. And there's like start avoiding me with like I don't want to be friend with that people from that community. So I feel like the student right now, because we're in the developing stage or we're developing our minds, so we're not that much like still we're most of people in university around 2019, so they can change the mindset for the future, because I feel that thing. That's why I've asked you if you guys been through that. I'm like, I've been through that. I want the students to like here in the university, like please change your little bit mind, because on the judgment, okay, that person did that in that country, that's why this people from that country are gonna be like this.
Yeah.
So that's the a little change I want. Don't make your mindset
cultural
till that you're not
stereotype
in
is
the
a
friendship.
big one, man. Like cultural like stereotype is another thing, and I think that's why like I really liked when you were mentioning like how like, oh, you're Muslim, you're a woman, you're a person of color, because like this whole intersection is just what really like creates like this like ultimate stereotype. So it's just it's really sad. Like I'm grateful, like for example, when I first moved, I guess that's a type of microaggression. I don't know. You guys like we should play a game. Is this a microaggression or not? It's a a lot of people would just like listen to me, and I'm like, my English is okay, and then they would ask me like, where are you from? And then I would say like back home, because I'm really like, I don't like, it's not like, oh, I was born here, so like I really identify with Canada more. No, I'm like, I'm just like, I'm Egyptian. So they're like, oh, your English is really good. So I'm like, I'm not even sure if that's something that's bad or good, because yes, my English is good, thanks, but I'm not
how they say it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And when
It's like they're
saying
surprised. They didn't expect you to even like be close to their level.
they know that like, as you said, Rubal, like this stereotype about back home. So back home, it's known that like Egypt, first of all, yes, our first language is Arabic, but also like education-wise, it's not always like the highest level. So like they expect you to like have like the Egyptian accent or whatever. So yeah,
I feel like now the people judge if you can speak English or another language, then you're literate. Like they're judging the person's education on the basis of their language skills. So I would say like English is just a language, and the rest of other languages should respect that. Like not to judge the people on the language. If he knows or she knows English, that means he educated.
Especially if their only language is English. Like learning 2 languages, you're already ahead of everyone. You're very smart. Like I personally, like I'm fluent in my parents' language, which is Albanian. And like sometimes I find myself like messing up even English words, because I'll be thinking in Albanian and it's just like, so yeah, it is difficult. And it's like, they should be proud of coming here. They shouldn't feel ashamed at all about, like you're trying than most people.
Exactly.
Yeah, language is just way to communicate. It's just not the status symbol, like are you educated, are you civilized, or what you are, right?
Yeah, that's another like stereotype. Like the whole language stereotype is also something that's like
here I come with another is region stereotype. People living in the specific region means this people gonna be that kind of personality.
Right. Yeah, that there was a lot, like I know like in the United States probably, like I feel, and probably in Canada too, I don't know, but like this idea that like, oh, these people will just live in this specific like region or like a, I don't know, part of the city. I'm not sure if I'm actually not sure, like I don't want to just spread false information. But I'm not sure if this happens with like women specifically. I feel like it's more based on like if you're a person of color, like oh, these people of color like live there.
This community.
This community, exactly. I'm not sure if it's like, oh, this group, I would love to be in a little city that just has women, like just in a little group like that. I would love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure if it also happens like this way. But probably also like there's this stereotype, I feel like when you're going to like buy a house or something like that they don't expect you to have this much money.
Yeah, the real estate marketing is kind of tricky because, like, as you're saying, like, certain areas have, like, you know, a certain, like, race or, you know, a certain minority, and it's built like that. Like, we have instilled stereotypes within our, like, systems of everything. So usually it will be, like, a lower income family is living in a lower part of town where it's, like, you know, more crime rates, the housing isn't good, the water is, like, dirty, and they know these people will be there because of, like, the system they put themselves into. They know that these people, the jobs that they're giving them, they can't afford much, so they automatically are given like lower residency, which you can see is obviously like a challenge because these people who are, you know, more privileged and like of a different race, they have so much more opportunities because that's the system they were put into. So it's not even like their fault because it's not like they had the choice. They were just like forcibly put into that situation, and it's so unfortunate.
Yeah, it just becomes like this cycle, and like it's like a package. Like, oh, if you're you have like a low socioeconomic status, you also have crime rates, you also have this, like just like this package. And it's all capitalism, to be honest. Like, let's just blame it on that.
Yeah, as we're talking about US, because I know somebody they're in US, and their kids go to the private school, and I was like, why? Because we live in a rich area, so our kids gonna be only in the private school, not in the public. So it's our status. If you're living in the rich area, go to private school.
Yeah, because you also have like this background in economics, right?
Accounting.
Yes, that. So I feel like you understand more about like these
economy,
stuff.
money,
Man,
money,
I'm just here for the emotions. Like, how are you guys feeling right now?
Honestly, it's tough because especially with feminism, a lot of people think, oh, it's just like with women issues, but it's all intersectional. So that's why it's so difficult to do, because it's like, okay, you take down one issue, but then you can't take down this issue without doing also this as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So the question is, like, how do we deal with all of it? We can't just do everything all at once.
Yeah. And then there's also the idea of like modern feminism, which like I am so very against. I won't say I'm not a feminist because I know like what feminism to me, but modern oh my god,
You're good.
Okay.
You got it right.
feminism is insane because it'll be like these privileged white women talking about like issues that I promise you the world could not care less about. And then when it comes to real matters, they won't speak up about it, and it's only because a woman of color is dealing with it, so you've never really like experienced that in your life. And then when we speak about feminism, I think that's where the stereotype comes from, like especially from men. Like they're like, oh, feminism, oh, she's a feminist. Yeah, because modern feminists have put this idea on them.
Guys.
But it's not even their fault because these guys are interacting with women who only express modern feminism. So now these guys are like, oh, you are a feminist because you want to free the nip. Like, wow, good motivation for women. Like, okay, do that, but that's not what you should like limit yourself to.
Right.
But now there's another feminist who's fighting for like free period products in a third world country. But you're not saying, oh, that's a feminist. You're just saying about the modern feminist that isn't like helping change the world, you know?
A lot of the white feminists, it's because they know that if they actually give attention to intersectional feminism, that means that they take away their privilege as a white person, as a heterosexual person as well.
Which it shouldn't even be looked at that. Like, if you know you have privilege and you're aware of it, use it for, like, good.
That's,
like,
I
oh
know.
my gosh.
Yeah, like, I would say, like what I prefer is not to stuck with the feminism, modern feminism, and we all are humans. So I would go with the humanity thing. It was like somebody asked me, sometimes literally some just come and stand up, are you feminist? Do you prefer that idea? It's like, I will, even if something, even you're a man and something gonna be wrong with you, I will come on your side. I will say for you. I will speak for you. It doesn't matter. I'm like always a feminist and speaking for women. We are humans at the end.
That's the thing. I feel like people forget that we can talk about multiple issues simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like, we can talk about, like, when this man just like comes to me and he's like, oh, are you like the feminist type? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not like.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, they don't even know what feminist means
That's
anymore.
the thing.
They
Like,
don't
if
know
I'm
the
talking about
definition.
feminism, I'm also talking about people of color. I can also talk about men's mental health because that's
Yeah.
a big one
Yeah.
for
They don't
like
realize it benefits them as well. Like they're just harming the movement even more.
that's the thing. Like,
They're setting
if
us back another 50 years.
if I'm gonna talk about activity, I'm gonna talk about like being active for all, like, you know, live happily ever after. Obviously, we will never like reach like utopia, but we can try
Yeah.
to like reach respect at least. But for some reason, like this idea, like that's a whole stereotype, right? Like,
Yeah,
the
we-
idea that like the word feminist equals
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
No, it does not.
So we're just not always saying rights for women. So we're for everyone.
Yeah.
We're not only for women, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So, do you guys have any advice for the students or the even new immigrants or anybody? Like, we all are immigrants.
women.
Like, yeah, any advice like how to prepare yourself before coming to university or getting into law field? Anything you think like if I could know this before and like I would be better. So, do you guys have any idea for even for the people who are just in the flight coming for the fall intake, or do you have any idea or something you want to say?
Honestly, two things just come to mind. Like especially when you read about like things that make people generally happy. You're moving to a different country. It's gonna be tough. You're gonna be filled with lots of stress, like filled problems as well. Just sort of having a routine so that you can have some of that order in your life to take away your mind from that chaos. So whether it's a self-care routine, like taking care of your appearance, taking a bath, whatever, going to the gym or just working out, and then also having a support system. So you know that, hey, not everything's that bad. Like I can rely on these people to get me through it. So whether that's through your friends or even a mentor, even we do have counseling at York as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So shout out to them.
Yeah.
That's also a big factor because it can also give you a different perspective and solve your problems in a way that you didn't think you could, you know?
I'm glad you're mentioning this. Like you're talking about it more of a preparation way. I love that because sometimes, like, yes, we're trying to talk about it in the lightest way possible, but stereotypes and barriers are actually something that could harm you emotionally for a long time. Like, I did not forget about that one time, although it was like 3 years ago. Isra did not forget about like her grade 9 experience. So just having like these like protective coping mechanism, like healthy coping mechanisms, just like knowing that you could go to counseling, knowing that you can talk to someone, have a support system, you have
Yeah.
Willa.
Yeah, and I also want
So-
to emphasize, like, if you deal with bad things that happen to you, like, you know, the microaggressions and all these things, instead of taking it as, like, an insult, take it as, like, motivation to just do better.
Yeah.
Because, honestly, like, I think bad things is what make people want to change, and that's how we get, like, better help from everything. So if you're, you know, dealing with something else, of course, look for your resources, you know, talk to someone, your support system and everything. But don't take it and just, like, sit with it. Take
Yeah.
it and then learn from it and move on, because you are going to become a better person with it.
Yeah, like be expressive. Just don't put it inside in yourself. Okay, let it be.
Yeah. The
Doesn't
emotions
matter.
you gotta feel anyway,
Yeah.
so might as well feel them.
Yeah.
Might as well do something with it.
Yeah. So yeah, is there anything else you guys would like to add or anything?
Oh, I did.
I'm kind of blanking right now.
All right. That was our episode for Stereotypes and Barriers. We had beautiful Emma and Isra, the marketing and finance people
Yeah.
at York, not York, at Willa specifically.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys in another episode. So stay tuned.
Bye-bye.
Bye.